This is Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture from two very different perspectives. With your hosts, the real Theo Harvey and Mr. Benja, coming with all the relevant info to get your week started. So, Mr. Benja, what do you got going on today?
Man, let me tell you what we got going on. We have got 5 great stories for you. Number 1, the Secret Invasion intro by Marvel. New show, it's hot. Intro was done by AI. The people are mad. People are crazy. It's out of control. Number 2, TUDUM happened and no one noticed. That Netflix thing, TUDUM, yeah, it happened. It's a whole thing and no one noticed. And number 3, we got the disaster of The Flash and DC's future. Apparently, the box office numbers weren't hitting like they were supposed to, and might be a bad signal. Number 4, Mark Zuckerberg and Elon are in a fight. Well, they're talking about fighting. I mean, like actual fighting, like a fist fight. So this is going to be wild. And for our last story, we're going to have Comic Con. Yep, it's still a thing, but it might be getting screwed all over again. These are our stories. What you think about that?
Yeah, man. Sounds interesting, man. So, like we normally do, let's get into the stories from our previous week, Mr. Benja. Oh, man. I got so many stories, man. So let me start first. This is our monthly or weekly watch. We talk about the latest in influencers out there. Mr. Benja, I told you about this. You had an opportunity to attend. I guess you may not had a chance to do it, but good old Dan Henry had his mastermind. Well, not mastermind. His what do they call it? Challenge. His 5-day challenge.
Yep.
I participated. I got a chance to take it for free. The boy's good, man. I'm impressed. I mean, I guess if you've been doing this for a while, he looks like he's 12,
Yeah,
but
it
I guess
does.
he's been doing this for a while, so he knows how to. I know a little something. I got a little tricks up my sleeve when it comes to selling, but yeah, he's definitely on another level. And so just learned a lot in his group, and he's trying to sell. It's kind of interesting. Dan Henry, we talk about these gurus a lot. He came from the Russell Brunson mindset, but I guess what kind of made him unique and I think he just like jumped on board with everybody. I think he did some stuff with Grant Cardone, and then he's got like the guy. Listen to Myron Golden. He's actually based here in Tampa. I didn't know that either. He's like
Oh,
too
okay.
far, so I guess we got a little hotbed down here, man. for,
Yeah, man.
for for a lot of other things, not just influence, but it's just a bed of stuff. But yeah, so anyway, so I thought it was kind of interesting to kind of get his perspective on it. He's got a new thing he's pitching on how he'll come in, help blow up your sales team, right? So he'll come in and do everything for you for a year. And ain't cheap, of course, but he said he can justify it by bringing you new revenue. So, kudos to him, but definitely learned a lot and trying to incorporate it into my business. So that's all I'm doing, man. Just trying to, sharpen my skills on marketing, sales, man, to grow that. So I'm hype about that.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's cool. I didn't I saw what you were putting out there and I didn't want to jump on because it was a diversion from what I was thinking of and doing at the moment. In fact, I was listening to Alex Hormozy
Oh,
and he gave me one of these existential crisis moments
uh-oh.
where you're sitting down watching the video, you're really just like, "Hey, this is good stuff," taking notes, and you remember he's not selling anything. So, I'm sitting here listening to him and he gets into the creative mindset and I'm like, "Oh, okay. You're gonna talk about how to create and build and put something together. This is my area." He says, "Yeah, you can do more of something. And if you want to, take it to the next level, you do more of something, which is scale. You do it better, which is like improvement and can be considered innovation if you're still saying in the same thing." And then he's like, "That's where you should probably focus on. Most creators get caught in the new trap." And I was like, "Oh, I feel, I feel like he's talking to me." And I think he was. 'Cause I was in the middle of thinking about something new I could do, and I'm like, "You know what? Scale this up, do more of it. I could also improve this thing." And that's where my entire before I went, like, solo, that's where my entire backlog of wealth was built from, just creating new all the time. You
Mhm.
know, you step into a situation, "Oh, you need to add this, make this new, and it'll be great, da, da, da." And then once the new thing came along, then we made things better, and then we made more of it. But it's a bit of a flip in the way I'm used to working, and so I need to do more of the scale and more of the improvement
Mhm.
without trying to get so much new. So that's why I didn't take on the Dan Henry thing.
No, I love it, man. That is so true, man. Because it's always some new shiny object, and as entrepreneurs or
Hey,
just
what's that? Sorry.
Exactly.
Sorry, something new over there.
I mean, guys who've done this podcast for what, over almost 19 months now, but, we've been consistent, but I'm the same way, man. Just was a new shiny thing, so I'm trying to be more present and focused on, one thing at a time, and so once I kinda broke off everything else, I've been more focused on, like, sales and marketing, so just a little bit, atomic habits, right? That 1% improvement every day, so just a little bit every day of something about Facebook ads, right? I just learned one little thing. Okay, let me try to tweak it here. Or one little thing on sales. So, so every day it gets better and better, accumulates. So that's kind of one thing I'm doing. And another thing, Alex Hormozy is not wrong, but I'm also reading this book called 10X is better than 2X. And it's written by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan, who's a big time coach, right? The coach's coach, right? All these big time coaches go to him and influencers go to him. And it basically it's kind of an interesting concept. It's kind of something like Grant Cardone talked about, where it's like not only 10X in activities, but he said 10X in your thinking. And Grant Cardone talks about it, like briefly, right? Because you got 10X your thinking. And this is what this guy is talking about
Yeah.
exclusively. He says, but you gotta realize when you 10X your thinking, you really there's only one. The last part I read, he said there's really only one path to 10X where you are now. If you just 2X, there's like multiple paths. And so it's like hard to
Mhm.
understand, you get your decision fatigue. He's actually has he's a doctor in organizational psychology. So he's breaking down these studies of like,
Yeah, yeah.
fatigue and what's that one? Constraint theory, right? Your
Sure.
attention can only do so much. And so he's just like, but if you say, okay, well, here I am now, how do I 10X what I'm doing now? You have to be a totally different person. It's
Yeah, and
because
it
it's
gets to
almost
make
impossible. It's
like,
almost
making those,
impossible.
you have to make those, what do they call them? Landmark decisions where it's like, "Oh, if I want to get there, I have to do this," and it becomes that one decision that is in the forefront, and it becomes your thing, right? Is that kinda what you're getting at?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and that's one of the things. But what I was trying to get at also was that he talked about simplicity. It's
Mhm.
like you start to cut off other things like the 80-20 rule. You really focus on the 20% that's gonna give you 80% of the results, right? And so you start getting very ruthless with your time, your abilities, what you're going after. And so, yes, you make the decision, but you also have to do it. And so he gave 2 examples. He talked about one young lady who started in real estate at 3,000 a year, and 13 years later, she now owns like multiple franchises in different states, and she's worth, responsible for $14 billion in real estate. By she was ruthlessly cutting things off, being niche player every step of the way.
Yeah.
And the great stories I didn't know this about Michelangelo before he became prominent as an artist. He did something so risky because he was going to create the first, was it the Hercules statue, right? He was going to try
Right,
to
right.
bid for that. And he was in the process of doing it, and he realized he didn't know human anatomy. So he had to do something illegal. He had to actually go into the morgue at night and figure out how, the body parts worked. And if he got caught, he could, be arrested or even killed because that was just totally against everything. But he
Yeah, yeah.
spent months in the dark learning how body movement, how arms look, legs, So when he did his Hercules statue, everybody's like amazed because no one has seen the detail that he put into that. And so they just said that was his first 10X. And from there, Sixteen Chapel to David, it just got better and better. And so he was just on a whole nother tier when it came to stuff that was impossible.
Yeah, no, it's pretty amazing. If you look up, like, some of the statues and things before him, you're like, "Hey, why does this guy's spine look crazy?" And it's just like, they didn't know how a spine really looked, I mean,
Exactly. I
no
mean,
one no one
he
cut
knew
open a
and
body.
he knew anatomy better than some of the doctors of the day. That's how detailed it was, so
Yeah,
it was like he had to become a specialist in anatomy just to be a top tier artist. Isn't that crazy? So,
yeah,
and that's what he's talking about. Just but then if you do that, now you get the 4 freedoms. He talked about freedom of finance, of course, freedom purpose, I forgot the other 2, freedom of time, because now you elevate at a higher level, of freedom of relationships. So now you have higher relationships, you have more time, you're expert, you world class. So now you have access to other things that others don't. So anyway, it's kind of opened my mind, about, how I'm looking at my business and how I can take it. Cause he's right. This 2X, man, it's a grind, man. Just trying to get this incremental growth. Ugh, painful, man. I mean, it's like, it
so
slows you down.
For suckers.
It is, man. You just like, man, what am I doing this for? But
Yeah.
he's right. Once you start thinking like the 10x, you almost is like, I don't know how. Like for instance, like some of the stuff Dan Henry was talking about. It's like I never sold that way before. I'm almost kind of like, you can sell that way, and it's like, I guess so, because someone's done it. You have
Yeah.
some kind of like different mindset.
So, I see. So what I've been trying to balance with in my head is the improve every day. And you're changing those little details, getting the knobs like, okay, cut that out, move this forward. And then usually for me, somewhere along that path of changing the details, it's like, oh, okay, I have to make a bigger change. But switching my thinking around to do the big thing, it's happened to me before where I'm thinking the big thing. And while I'm stumbling and falling across the big thing, I end up doing all those details in the in
Yeah,
anyway.
kind of have to.
So yeah, because I'm just like running back and forth. And I'm like, you know what? We should move the entire damn setup of all these. I worked at a pharmacy for a while. I was the store manager. And I was like, we have to move the entire damn shelving system from over on this side of the office all the way over to this side. It's like, why? People are running back and forth. They're cutting through this and like, why are you doing? And they kept wondering why I was doing all this stuff. And I had that bigger vision in mind, like, we've got to get this thing working. And this thing is pissing me off. It's just in my way. I didn't think about it like this at the time, but that's one of those moments. And
Well, it did. I think the incremental is important because as long as it's focused on those things, that's going to give you that 10x result, right? So
yeah,
by you moving everything over, that probably saw like, 20% increase in revenue, right? Or, or foot traffic to, what was happening in the pharmacy. Likewise, me incrementally doing this Facebook stuff is I'm getting, 3x the number of leads now. I mean, literally people are reaching out, and that's helping our organic traffic and,
nice.
and, and stuff like that. And then also focus on this new way of selling. I can sell a higher ticket offer as opposed to, my incremental offer. So yeah, but I have to, it's baby steps because you get overwhelmed if you, take too much on. So
Right.
anyway, so yeah, man. So yeah, I know we talk about the gurus a lot. So but hopefully folks get, we're students of the game, man. I think,
That's right.
because we kind of have to be.
And forever learning, everybody. All right.
Always.
Ready to get into this?
Yeah, let's do it, brother.
All right. Story number one. Did you know the Secret Invasion intro was done by AI? I don't know if you knew this, Theo, but Marvel's new show, Secret Invasion, came out. Executive produced by Samuel L. Jackson, by the way. Well, the intro came out and people were posting pictures of it on the internet, and I'm wondering, hey, what's going on? Why is Twitter lighting up? Why are all these people lighting up? The opening credit scene was done by AI in the midst of people, creatives and artists getting pissed off at AI being used for creative projects instead of paying for artists, instead of paying
Mm.
for VFX professionals. Weird play by Marvel here. I don't know. What do you think about this?
Well, you know what? I just remember at the time not thinking anything about it, but just noticing it did look pretty crappy to me. I was just kind of like whatever. And then to find out that that was the thing that was driving people to talk about Secret Invasion, that's a whole nother problem. So, they're not talking about the story itself, right? They're just talking
Right.
about the AI aspect of it, which is, it is what it is. We're not going to make any judgments on this show right now. But anyway, yeah, man, it does seem kind of interesting timing to kind of put this out there now. And especially now, the strike is going on, and one of the key points is AI's usage in creating art, whether written art or even, artists or picture art. So anyway, I don't know, man. I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. It's just kind of one of those things that are what they are. I mean, at the end of the day, man, business is going business, man. So if they can find a cheap way to get some stuff out the door that still can make a profit, man, they're gonna go for it, man, and that's what the AI did. So kudos for them to sneak it in there. But now, it's just another, leg against Disney that people already got pissed at Disney on a lot of other areas. So this is like, oh man, they had to do this now.
Yeah. So this was as silly as a as much of a, just not truthful statement as this seems. This was an artistic move. To not use artists to do this. It's so, I mean, you've got these people. The basic idea about a secret invasion is the invasion of the scrolls. You should know that by now, so it's not a spoiler. Scrolls, you've seen them. They're the green shape shifting guys that showed up in Captain Marvel and popped up a couple other places. But basically, this idea that you have these different races changing into different creatures and beings and invading our personal space, our lives, and we can't tell what's real and what's not. It's a parallel to kind of what's going on in the world of AI. We can't tell what's real and what's not. So they're making a statement there. And I think that a few people were like, oh, that's interesting. But most people were like, boo, boo, tomato, 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 and started getting upset about it. I actually think in the long run, this one's going to be like one of those moments where people think back and say, yeah, Disney did that. Was it a good move? I don't I don't know. I mean, it's practice, right? And it's kind of a shot letting artists know that, hey, you're on notice right now because real talk, we just did this.
I guess seems kind of so yeah, I was reading the article you highlighted there, and I think the director's like, "Hey, it just enhances the foreboding sense of the invasion." Yeah, right, dude. That's corporate speak, man. Just tell her what you did. Feige said, "Man, you better go ahead and put that AI up there, man." So forget what this corporate speak, man. But yeah, man, like I said, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. I mean, I think AI is here, and people got to get used to it and figure that out
Mhm.
because I think just any technology, there's always going to be some concern,
Yeah.
but we always kind of figure it out. So I think likewise, the artists have to kind of get with that program and figure out how they're going to leverage that because this, to be honest with you, this is the worst it's going to look. It's always going to improve and get better. So, it's better to kind of work with it, the technology, and figure it out and understand how you can leverage it. But at the same time, yeah, it's just interesting timing, but it is what it is. I mean, do you get a sense right now? I mean, this is a little off topic, but I mean, the AI stuff is still there. People are still excited, but are you feeling like people are still kind of excited about it? Or is it kind of like, everybody's like itching for the next new thing?
Well, as far as talk is concerned, yeah, people are itching for the next new thing. Back to Alex Hormozy, it's like, hey, we can do more and we can do better with this AI thing. And everybody's looking for something new right now. But yeah, man, there's a lot to be mined out of this AI field. And there's a lot to be taken from it. So we still got a lot more that's going to come out, but I don't think that, in fact, there's almost too much information about how much people are using it, how much it's being integrated into society, into the industry, into military, into creative, et cetera, et cetera. So there's almost too much out there. And right now it just sounds like blah, 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 more AI. But in reality, it's doing what Marvel's doing. It's actually making its way into everything. So I mean, once again, artistically, that was a good call by Disney if they wanted to put an artistic spin on it.
I see. I see. I love it.
All right. But let's get on to story number 2. TUDUM happened. You remember TUDUM, right? Netflix's thing?
Ah, yeah, man.
I I'd totally forgotten about it. It was off the radar, and somebody was like, "Yeah, you remember that thing you were talking about with the One Piece live action?" I was like, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, that news came out of TUDUM." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that whole festival thing, that happened." So, basically, every year, Netflix has this event called TUDUM where they talk about all the new things that are coming out, what they're doing. It's like their own little online Comic Con, which we'll speak about later. And they have news, trailers, prospects, all the stuff to get people hyped, but nobody was talking about it. So we're going to talk about it here, Theo.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know what? I kind of did know about it, but I didn't put all the pieces together because I think when it first came out, it was during the pandemic, and that was when the virtual announcements from TV shows and Comic Con was all the rage, right? So it's like, oh, they had fandom, DC fandom, they had the Comic Con virtual, and then they had this, So it's oh, cool, we get to see all these cool fancy things. But we know now streaming wars are farce. Well, not farce, but they basically are decimating everything in sight. And so it's not as exciting anymore because and we see what's happening. I wanted to kind of shoehorn this into this discussion, but I think what we're seeing now, we talked about this. A lot of these shows, there's even more shows happening that get canceled. Paramount Plus just canceled Star Trek animated show. They just canceled some other things. So this is a long list. Even Disney's doing that. They're canceling shows and they're kind of shipping them off into these fast networks, these free advertisement streaming services now. And so now, like, there was even talk about HBO giving up some of their own shows like Insecure to Amazon, right? And taking them off their streaming service. So it's like, wow. Netflix is gonna buy like Insecure, which is an
Mhm.
HBO show.
Yeah.
So it's kinda like these platforms are just like giving up their shows. And so now you have Netflix coming in with their own kinda like, "Hey, we're still the number one streamer and we still got, good content we wanna highlight." Where everyone else is like, "Man, just get this stuff off the streams, man, so we can sell this,
Yeah.
if it's not bolted down, we will sell it." So it's like Netflix is out here like, still trying to wave that flag for streaming services. So anyway, it didn't seem as exciting to me, but it was kind of interesting some of the things that did come out. I mean, a lot of sequels, a lot of, remakes. And then that was the thing that kind of stood out for me right away. I mean, you talked about One Piece live action. It's like, Avatar, Airbender live action. It's like a lot of shows based on cartoons, which sure. Sequels, Squid Game season 2, Extraction. I think Extraction 2 just came out when TUDUM was announced, and now
Yeah.
you got Extraction 3. Did you watch any of the Extractions yet? I'm almost finished with the second one. I haven't finished it yet.
Nah, man, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you like action, man, sure. It's gonna get you that fix, man. But it's kind of like, I mean, what's the but if you wanna get high,
Yeah,
you can sniff glue or you can take some high-end, cocaine.
yeah.
So I think this is the sniffing glue kind, right? That
I
just
see.
gets the job done. Was that a good analogy?
Yes. Elmer's for the win. Let's see, what else they had? They had, you talking about action, Heart of Stone with Gal Gadot,
I
you know?
mean, I just have no confidence in her making good action movies, but looks good, looks amazing, but I don't know. Did you watch the other one? Oh, her, Ryan Reynolds, and
Red something?
Red, yeah.
What is it? I forgot. Yeah,
Uh,
but that show. No, I didn't.
no, me neither.
Yeah, so for my action, I generally go to anime or some off the wall Korean or Chinese action flick.
Yeah,
So for my action kick, unless it's like something major.
yeah, yeah, it's hard to get good at. I mean, yeah, I mean, every now and then you get some good stuff, but yeah, it's hard to, especially all
Yeah.
that CGI, man. Oh yeah, I watched The Gray Man. That was not good. That was action back on Netflix. Not good at all.
I actually thought that was passable. I didn't put it in
CGI
the not good at all category,
was
but
terrible.
they got Stranger Things 5 coming
Yeah, sure.
with Linda Hamilton.
I guess, man. Just let this move. I mean, it's just like they dragging this thing out, man. Let this show be over, man. These kids are like 38 years old, man. They got like grandkids now, man. Let these kids just get on with their lives, man.
So what they need to do is take everybody that didn't make it into the Expendables cast and put them into Stranger Things. Just like have, some like, "Hey, who is that guy?" "No, that's the next door neighbor that used to be on Mork and Mindy." It's like, "Oh, okay. Now they're on Stranger Things."
Yeah, man. These kids are like old now, man. I mean, it's like they're just dragging this out, and the writer's strike doesn't help anything, right? So they're gonna, so it's like I know all the kids are kind of like, I'm ready to be done with this, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Also, you put me on the sci-fi that big sci-fi drama on Apple TV. I forgot the name of it now.
Hmm.
Yeah, whatever that one was. Have you heard of the 3 body problem?
Yeah, I have. I actually have the book here, but I haven't read it yet. I need to read it. I've been always meaning to. Have you?
No, no, it's been really interesting to me. So I want to see what they do with this. And, our friend Andy, the Chinese pirate's been telling me about the different ways that Chinese storytellers build story, how it's more about the population and the community as
Mhm.
opposed to one single hero. So seeing that playing out in the sci-fi epic drama is going to be pretty interesting. So,
Well, they have. I mean, I think it was already released as a movie before already in China, and they released it here with subtitles. But now they're gonna have it's gonna be a TV show. I thought, or
I
Oh,
thought
it's
it
a
was a
movie.
movie.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah,
interesting.
movie.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, it'll be cool. What are your thoughts on well, also, it's gonna be written by the Game of Thrones guys, so I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of hate thrown their way, but that's a whole
Shut your
conversation.
mouth.
Yeah. Witcher
Uh,
season 3, man. Are you hyped for Henry Cavill's last go round as
Not at all. Nope,
Geralt?
nope. I just couldn't get into Witcher. Some, people were saying I need to watch the whole thing, and I'm like, "No, I don't." It just wasn't my thing. I wasn't looking forward to it.
Man, it was like the first season was needlessly confusing for no reason. It was like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
It wasn't cool. It was like they tried to do 2 different timelines, and it was crazy. But it was, it had some interesting moments, but I kind of fell off on the second season.
Alright. What else? Oh, here's an interesting one. We were talking about their push into diversity and, becoming a global market. Netflix, that is. Part of why they have, their stock price is doing so well and everybody's jockeying them. They have more Korean dramas coming through, along with the Three Body Problem, a big Chinese production coming through, Chinese story coming through. Well, now we're going to have a Korean spinoff of Money Heist. So Money Heist, but like a Korean version. And the Archies. There's If you remember Archie, there was like a group called the Archies, which was a band,
Mhm.
but it's not like Riverdale because we already know what that's about and how that
Mm.
that flies. And that's cool. I actually like Riverdale. But the Archies, it's like this Bollywood 50s Americana kind of weird mashup. It's interesting. You just need to watch the trailer. I don't know who this is for. I guess it's for, people who are into the Bollywood movies, but also into 50s diners and malt shops, whoever that intersection of people is. But it's quite interesting. Actually, speaking of Andy, I'm sure he'll watch it or not.
Yeah, yeah, definitely good. Did you ever watch Never Have I Ever on Netflix?
No.
Yeah, it was by Mindy Kaling, a very, very good show. It was a young lady, growing up in high school and doing be more adventurous and getting to herself. But the actress that played, I can't recall her name, saved my life, but she was really good. And that was like, it ran for like 5 seasons. And so that's unheard of in Netflix. So it's definitely, good TV shows and dramas, and, from that standpoint. And then also, have you ever just went on the AMC app and just look at movies that show
Mm-mm.
up on there?
No.
Yeah, after you get past, like, the first 5 movies that we all know about, Transformers, Spider-Man, there's a lot of Indian dramas popping up in there, man. It's
Mhm.
like yeah, so there's a big, audience for that go to the movies pretty religiously, and you see that stuff pop up every so often.
Yeah, if you Netflix is really big in India, man. I don't know. We talked about this a little bit, how it comes as part of a package deal. So you've got all these people in India doing reaction videos, talking about all their movies. And it's just, I'm not sure what their play is with India, but it's definitely a big market.
Yeah, definitely, man. So more to come. I mean, we know you remember from a business standpoint, that's how Disney is making their money because they had, like, a lot of folks who wanted access to cricket get access to Star, which was, Disney's play. They kinda sold that business off, but yeah. I mean, India has what? Over 1,000,000,000 people, so yeah, it's big. I think it's almost as big as China now, right? Or
Yeah.
should be. So, yeah, it's a big market.
Yeah, we may have to revisit that at some point to see the financials and everything on that because some not as straightforward as, hey, a lot of people, a lot of money. So take things from there.
Point.
All right.
A deep dive.
That's right. Story number 3. The disaster of the Flash and DC's future. Is DC done? I don't know. Apparently, people in the know are saying that the Flash movie was a disaster for DC's future. You got some box office numbers, Theo. What's going on over there?
Oh, man. The Flash, man, we talked about The Flash last week. Did you get a chance to watch it at all?
Oh, yeah, I watched it.
What'd you think?
I thought it was a kind of a bait and switch, and I utterly hate when they do that. They made it look like Snyderish with a little more heft and weight to the story. They they just presented it as something that it kind of wasn't to me. And when
Mhm.
I got in the theater, within the first couple minutes, I was like, "Oh." "Oh, this is that Flash they're doing. This is the cornball Flash." Right, right. That's and it just kinda let me down because I knew what I was getting into, and it seemed very cheap in a lot of spots, not fully fleshed out. Plot the dramatic tension in the plot wasn't there. It was just like, "Oh, well, we're at point A. Let's go to point B." And you're like, "No, no, nothing's dragging you in there. You're just kinda go along with this? Alright, whatever." So I didn't think it was bad. I actually put it on the good side of things,
Mm.
where it was a good movie, but it was really, really far away from my expectations. And James Gunn's a liar.
So is David Zaslav. This is the best movie, right? A superhero movie of all time. So, and it was seen by Tom Cruise, right? Tom Cruise really liked it. So, I mean, yeah, man, that was the thing, man. It was like I read this debrief of the whole movie in general. It's just like all these factors that went into it. I mean, number one, you had just the implosion of the main star, just going through his legal troubles and other issues. You had new team coming on board, and they're just like kind of everything must go right. It's changing the
Yeah,
story. They had, just a bunch of rewrites messing up things, so it's just a lot of stuff that just went wrong with it, man. It's just so, and then you got the suits. I don't know why they were hyping it up like it's the best movie ever. It was like, dude, just shut up, man. Just let it play. Why put more pressure on yourself? So anyway, it's like all factors, but I agree, man. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. Cause I mean, to be honest with you, I thought what's his name was really good. Ezra Miller. I mean, for all his problems, he's definitely talented. I mean, the kind of whole compelling story where you're kind of playing against yourself and they acted differently, they sounded differently. So kudos to him. I mean, that the other one had to be a different person because
yeah.
they grew up with their mom. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But and then I thought Michael Keaton was decent. Supergirl, like I said, I'm a fan more ways than one. So yeah, man, they have a few things to go for, but it's just like they just yeah. So anyway, it
I've
was real
never said this of a superhero, but when I was watching the girl, Kara, on screen, I was just like, "She's got cute cheeks." And I just wanted to, like, pinch her cheeks and, like, you know, she has these little
very, very,
chubby
very,
cheeks, and I'm
very
like, "What is this?"
yeah, very nice lady, man. Lady. Yeah, so
Not
yeah,
not
and the
those
thing
cheeks,
is,
on the face, on
yeah, she never, yeah, I don't think she was into anything. This is her first big role. It's so sad. It's like, she could have been the next Jenny Ortega or something like that, but just the wrong vehicle. Because I think she was decent in it. I mean, she didn't really have much to do. But,
yeah,
but anyway, yeah, the numbers are terrible, man. I mean, 55,000,000 first day. I mean, first weekend, and then it was like third in the box office this last weekend, down what 75%
yeah,
week over week. So yeah, man, it's just doesn't look good for this DC. James Gunn is kind of backtracking now and saying Blue Beetles because people are saying, well, these movies are not connected to what James Gunn is building. Oh no, Blue Beetle's part of the bigger vision of what we're building. So I can see your animosity toward James Gunn, kind of I can understand it now because he does seem like he's a blowhard somewhat. He's just kind of saying
yeah,
stuff like, dude, just shut up, man. Just let the word speak for itself. Why are you? It's like unforced errors. You don't have to say anything. Just do what you're going to do and just say, hey, we just hope it does well. That's all he has to say. I mean, so
yeah,
no, we have faith in this movie and it's going to do what it does or something like that. I mean, that non-committal corporate speak, but it's just like, dude, he just keeps saying the wrong things. So I don't know, man. And then his Superman movie won't even come out to 2025, man. I don't even know. I mean, where will we be with superhero movies when Superman comes out? Will we even care? I mean, we'll watch
yeah,
it, but it's not like the fever that we had, back in 2019. I think 2019 was the height, man, when Endgame came out and we
yeah.
had that scene. I just don't see us getting back to the height. Is it the closest we got to it was a TV show when Jonathan Major stood on the desk. That was the closest I felt something in the MCU.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know, man. You tell me.
Man, Aquaman's got a lot on his shoulders. That's all I'm saying. And they put him face down in the gutter with the Flash. There's a post-credit scene in The Flash where Aquaman shows up. Once again, not a spoiler, but
It's trash, man. Why
it
why even do that? It was just kinda like anticlimactic, and it came at the very, very end. It's not like the mid credit, it's like the post credit where you got
yeah,
sit through all the everything. And then he's like I said, "Through that crap? I mean, at least they coulda gave me just a twinkle or something."
Yeah, so I'm not sure what's going on over there, but Aquaman 2 has got a lot to carry. No Amber Heard, or wait a minute, yeah, she's kind of been cut out. They've been saying or whatever. We'll see what happens.
So, I mean, this is a bigger discussion. Got a little wanna unpack this a little bit more.
Okay.
I mean, what are your thoughts about just DC in general, man, the future right now? Are you optimistic?
No,
Hopeful?
they're full of clowns, man, and they're led by James Gunn. I'm
Is
pissed.
he clown Baxter?
Yeah. Yeah. He's a chucklehead, man. I don't even use that word. He's a chucklehead. He's just kinda up there. Well, Ezra Miller is a great actor, and hey, man, come on, quit with that, man. Just stop, man. Give us the Rhea and like, dude has problems, but we have faith in this movie. We're gonna keep moving ahead, get Ezra the help they need. Let's go about this thing. Please come out and support us in theaters, whatever date. And you're like, okay, cool. Thank you for being straight with this. As opposed to, it's probably the greatest, blah, blah. Man, get out of here.
I mean, it's almost like he doesn't know how to be an executive. I mean, who
Oh,
would have thought?
yeah. What was his? Aren't they supposed to have the other guy out there with him? That guy should be right next to him
I
at all times.
mean, yeah, man. What is going on? I just don't know, man. It's just maybe he just wants to be in the forefront. I mean, there seems to be a little of the showman to him. Has always been kind of there. I think, not saying he got lucky. I mean, I think there's some real interesting takes. I mean, he literally made Guardians what it is. I mean,
Right.
if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have Thanos like that, right? Because he
Yeah.
had to get the whole space kind of thing. So there's some talent there. Just I don't know, man. Maybe he just got like extremely lucky, like the right time,
Right.
right art, right opportunity.
I call what James Gunn has the weirdo problem, where if you're in a big production type of situation where you have to deal with a lot of people, if you're in the quote unquote weirdo class, you have to either carve a lane for yourself and just be over there on the side doing your weird stuff with your weird friends, or you have to be able to shed that image, but let people know you can always go back to it and come to the forefront. It's like, all right, you gotta tighten up your dress, you gotta look the part and everything. And I think he's trying to still hold on to too much of that weird stuff. And I think that's just in his nature, in his character. Not that I dislike the weird at all, but think about like the Wu-Tang Clan. Old Dirty Bastard could never be the front man. In fact, the RZA was even too weird to be the front man. And he was like, you know what? I'm too weird to be the front man. Method Man, go. And they put Method Man out front. That's what they did. They put Raekwon and Ghostface out. They're like, go, go, go. Old Dirty Bastard, RZA, they had to pull to the back and be like, you know what? We're the weirdo class. We get it. James
Yeah,
Gunn, stand to the back.
yeah, yeah. It's just yeah, this is kind of interesting, man. I'm looking at this DC's highs and lows on this article Variety you highlighted.
Yeah.
Guess what was the number one movie of all the DC era movies recently?
Black Adam, right? Hell
No.
yeah. Oh, what? Oh,
Aquaman.
okay.
Aquaman made $1.2 billion internationally and domestically.
Oh, I thought
That
you meant
was
like
even
recently. Okay.
Yeah, that was even more than Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and
Hmm.
Justice League. It's just like, man,
I did like
yeah.
Aquaman.
I mean, for what it was worth, let's be honest, it was okay. I mean, it didn't even have a big opening weekend. It had only 67 million the opening weekend, which was less than just about everything. Well, not everything except for the Flash. But and the domestic was about 267, which is more than Man of Steel, more than Batman v Superman, and more than Justice League. Man, Aquaman killed it.
I should
Sheesh.
do it. I should watch some Aquaman reactions.
Yeah. That just don't make sense. Wow, that killed, of course, the Joker, is next after that. But talking about pure, and after that would be a tie. Well, it's really Batman v Superman, but you would think Batman v Superman should have killed it, man. And it just only they didn't even get to a billion. So that was when they had real problems. But anyway, I digress. I'm just looking at the numbers. It just,
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's some chuckle clowns. And then, Zaslav, And then someone was making a good point, like, does he know what he's doing? It's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing over there, man? It's like, I know you couldn't cut costs, but that was such an unforced error as an executive to try to, convince people this is a good movie. I mean, saying it was the best. I mean, who does that? That's like amateur hour. I mean, even you and I would do something like that, you hedge your bets.
Yeah.
And
But it was funny. I wonder if after he said it, he was like, "I shouldn't have said that."
but he
It just
doubled down. But he doubled down. He said,
well,
"Tom Cruise saw this."
well, yeah. Did you? Well, you have to double down what you said, and you don't pull it back. I mean, what are you gonna
You can
do? Say
always
that?
watch your back.
What are you gonna do?
I meant to say. Yeah. You
Yeah, what
always
are you gonna?
watch.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. All right.
Yeah.
Uh, story number 4. Have you heard that Mark Zuckerberg was getting swole? Did you know this? He's been getting swole for a little while, and been doing the push ups and getting the weights and everything together. So he's filling out that little suit now that he's not wearing the hoodie anymore. Well, he's been doing that for a while, and suddenly news comes out that he's going to be in a fight with Elon. Earlier, I would have said that Zuckerberg, he should just pack it up and go home. But now I'm like, you know what? This might actually be a little contest, a little battle between some very rich nerds.
Me, man, this is just attention, opportunity, man. These guys, I mean, think about it. You're bored. You're the richest men in the world. Yeah, you got all these dollars. Your companies are embattled. But guess what? Let's distract everybody with a fight, a cage fight. Who cares about Twitter dying and Tesla's not, killing it like it used to because there's too
Yeah,
much competition. Well, who cares about, my company? I named it Meta and I spent $140 billion. Now I'm pivoting to AI and I can't change the name of my company again. Who cares about let's just fight. So everybody can forget about, our business mishaps and
is
shenanigans.
is this where we are right now?
Yes,
I mean,
it's sad.
because it seems like the one of the most American things ever, and for some reason, I'm here for all of it.
And it will happen. I guarantee you. There's something tells me that this is gonna happen because, now that the people it's in the zeitgeist now, I
Yeah,
mean, it's just and then Elon, I'm surprised Mark Zuckerberg's, but maybe he's thinking the same thing. He's like, this distracting thing, he's the robot, right? This
yeah.
distracting thing seems to work for Elon. Let me try it myself. And so, he's going to try it, man. Why not? It's going to get people not talking about Facebook or, all the crap they're doing. And then, because Elon's been doing this for years, he's mastered it now. So he knows how to keep the people not looking at him. I mean, he should have literally, did he get fined for the SEC? I think he did for violating, like insider trading almost. But I think he got away with it. Oh, and then all of the shenanigans going on Twitter. This is a perfect distraction. And you're right. I'll probably be there for it too, man. But it's gonna be the worst. You ever see that meme, but just people just slap boxing? That's what's gonna look like.
I don't know, man. Mark looking swole. I'm telling
I
you.
guess, man.
Hey, you know what? It's like for all the money they spend on advertising, product promotion, new product releases. I if somebody is back at Facebook, just sitting on the Facebook Watch team, that's like their little TV, right?
Yeah.
Facebook streaming TV or whatever. All of a sudden, you hear a knock on the door, say, "Hey, listen, in the next couple months, I'm going to need you to prepare all the servers and all the streaming equipment and all of our worldwide data maintenance to handle a live stream of our CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, in a fight with Elon Musk. Can our systems handle that? How many billions of users do we have again? Yeah, I'm going to need you to work on that."
Yeah. It's a ploy. It's a ploy. But yeah,
Man,
man. This is like a Black Mirror episode. I definitely can see that. This
you
two
know, you know how
billionaires
many
trying to
people
fight.
get on Facebook Watch? It's actually got a high number of people watching it, but it could be that this. Hold on a second. This could actually push Facebook Watch up into YouTube numbers
Could.
because
But
if
then,
they're both
Elon is a part of it though. He's gonna want they gotta have some kind of collaboration with Twitter and Facebook, right? To kind of showcase it.
sure. I mean,
So
maybe they can both stream it on their services. Just you know, You go watch it on Twitter, or you can go watch it on Facebook Watch, but no one's watching it on YouTube.
It just smacks of something going on. Something else is going on. What do they want to distract us from? That's how I always look at things like this.
Yeah.
What's really going on?
You heard about the stories that are happening while the sub is imploding?
What? No, what was going on then? Yeah, you're right. That took over the news for whatever reason. Yeah.
So, the sub imploded, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about Ocean's Gate where the rich guy and all the people paid all the money to jump into some weird can't get out
Tube.
from the inside
Tube. Toilet
Bluetooth
tube.
Bluetooth
Toilet paper.
enabled Game Shark controller operated sub that went down. Apologies to the people that were involved and actually lost their lives in this thing, but it seemed like a very random and weird story. Apparently, it was held back a couple days. That the actual story of the deaths and everything that happened with it, it was actually held back a couple days. And when it got released, came out, people were talking about it on the news, but then there were all these other stories about Hunter Biden,
Mhm.
about there was a Pentagon $1 trillion were moved and missing around the time of 9/11. These other stories were coming out. Yes, this is conspiracy land, but we know that people do conspire to utilize the media to cover what they've been doing by
And
using
I'm here for it.
distractions.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
The whole conspiracy land, that stuff is true.
Somebody did conspire, so it turns from being a spirit conspiracy theory into a conspiracy fact at some point,
I
and you find
mean,
out.
interesting times. Yeah, man, we live in. I mean, yeah, you're right. Cause it's like, why are these influencers talking about it? Like they had Cardi B out there talking to, I mean, what y'all care about this? I mean, now I get why it's an interesting story, it's like
Yeah,
they're meeting their death in the water and they're going against the advice of the captain heading to the Titanic, which ironically did that same thing happen to it. So I get that part.
yeah.
So there's some story synergies there, but at the end of the day, they're billionaires. They could have done whatever they wanted. And so yeah. Yeah, interesting times, man. Yeah. So like I said, it's all about distraction, man. I mean, and something I learned recently. Whenever you have intention, distraction comes. You just gotta push through it to get to illumination. And then you gotta push through it with inspiration to get to illumination. So I know it's a lot of eyes and stuff, but basically, whenever you try to do something, something's gonna come to distract you. You gotta find inspiration, keep pushing through, and eventually you get to the next level. So that's kind of what's pushing me now because I'm like you, it's like, oh, what's that? What's that? No, go do it.
Yeah, and people will tell you whenever there's a lot of hype around stuff like this, always look for the stories that aren't being talked about because there may
Absolutely,
be something there.
absolutely.
In fact, I'm looking through the news right now, and it's weird. Yeah, the regular news searches aren't coming up with too much. But if I go over to Twitter, let's see what happened. Ocean Gate cover up. How's that? That's easy enough, right? You
Real
start getting
time conspiracy search.
you start getting a whole different set of stories. It's kind of amazing.
Talk about my first million. Talk about my first conspiracy right here, folks. We're gonna do live conspiracy searching. In real time.
Go live. Yeah, okay. So every time I talk about Twitter being the place where you want to find out what the people are actually talking about, I really mean that. I mean, look at the news or whatever, but Twitter, Reddit, maybe Snapchat if you're really in there and on it, TikTok, you know, you'll start down something and then next thing you know, you're watching dance videos. So that's hard to follow.
Yeah, I don't mess with TikTok. 'Cause you get
Yeah,
sucked in so quick.
but yeah, just search Ocean Gate cover up on Twitter and you'll see. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. I don't even want to get into it. I don't want to get banned. I don't want to get this, deplatformed. It's too deep. It's too deep.
It's too deep. Oh,
Pun intended.
I love it. I love it. So
All
anyway,
right. Enough of that. My money's on Zuckerberg, by the way. I think he's got something to prove. Elon is crazy.
Elon's crazy, man. Elon bite him or something, I'll do something.
Yes. How did they do it in wrestling? How they had the foreign object stuff in the trunks? He's been hit.
Okay, then.
Zuckerberg has been hit with a foreign object. What was that?
Okay, no, let's not go there. I'm about to crack up. Yeah, man. They have Zuckerberg coming down on the zip line, like Sting. He'll fall to the hole, and they start beating up on him. And then Elon beat up on him. And he comes out a hole.
Yeah, I want who in that fight, who comes running down the aisle to slide into the ring?
I don't know. Bill Gates, I don't know, man. That'd be crazy, man. Nah, I'm there for it, man. Get all these billionaires out there, man. Just start smacking each other. That'd be awesome.
Oh, man.
And they'll do it, man. I think they would do it. Think about it, man. I mean, it's gotten to that point where it's just like they know attention drives dollars, and so they'll do what it takes to stay keep that attention on them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it's just it's they become the latest celebrities, and so they have to do things to keep people interested.
absolutely. Alright. That's too good, man, too shout out to Kanye West and 50 Cent for making that a whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Last thing I say on that. Alright, story number 5. Comic-Con might be getting screwed all over again. You sent me this one, Theo, so when did they get screwed the first time? What's going on here?
Yeah, good point. I don't know. I just sent it to you. You know, I read headlines, man. So sometimes, well, I think Comic Con's been screwed over multiple times, especially since the pandemic. They have these virtual versions. I mean, I think Mr. Benja, we came at the right time. It was like it had got the peak almost. I think it was
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
twilight years. Like I started going down with you, and then I think I went down like twice or three times with you, and then really enjoyed it, man. I always wanted to go. Glad I got a chance to go, but I don't think it's the same anymore. It's just not the same anymore. I think, we're going to reminisce those years. And it looks like this year, everybody's pulling out. So you got Disney, Netflix, Universal, and Sony have all now bailed on this year's San Diego Comic Con, while other cities are still waiting to see about attending. So it does seem like, the movie and TV side of Netflix is starting, I mean, excuse Netflix, of Comic Con is starting to decrease a little bit. Because I think it was last year. Was it last year? Because I think we wrote a blog post about this on our website, Show versus Business. Go check it out. We talked about Kevin Feige announced, the multiversal war. That was a big thing
Right,
in
right.
at Comic Con. But I don't think we're gonna, with the writer's strike and all this other stuff and superhero movies, as we all know, are kind of, on the downslide. I don't
Well,
know.
you know what? And this could tie into our idea about superhero fatigue and is it real? How much of it's just a slump and, are we really seeing a proper decline? Signs point to yes right now. But if you take away the comic stories, then people are like, well, that was the only reason we invested all this money in Comic Con in the first place because everybody was there, all geeked about the DCEU, all geeked about Iron Man and what Marvel was doing.
Yeah.
And then by association, you got all this other stuff going on. Well, if you don't need that anymore, people can finally say, oh my gosh, it's about time. I can leave Comic Con alone and can stop traveling down to San Diego, stop doing this thing, and I can get on with making real movies or whatever the heck else I want to do without going to this crazy convention. And
Smelling
that makes sense.
Cheetos,
Yeah.
smelling and shaking hands with fans with Cheetos, breath, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, check this out. So I'm just checking out the news. Marvel's Hollywood Reporter says that Marvel Studios is skipping Hall H this year.
Yeah.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, I just said that. What Disney, Marvel, yeah, they're not coming. Yeah, Marvel's not coming at all. So yeah, man, it's
I'm sorry. I'm being that was a bonehead moment. Yes, Disney slash Marvel.
yeah,
When you put Disney there, I was like, oh sure, okay. We're not gonna see a new season of Kim
well, I know.
Possible or anything
It
at
could possibly.
at Comic Con.
To
Okay,
get back,
whatever.
DuckTales, the next
Yes.
new adventures of DuckTales. Yeah, man. Yeah, so it's definitely interesting. It's a far cry because I remember I saw Game of Thrones there.
Mhm.
The first season, they were all there, all the actors. I remember seeing Breaking Bad there. I was in line for 8 hours, didn't get a chance didn't get I was this close, but I did get a chance to see when they finally announced the team for Avengers. So, yeah, man, yeah, it's just, it's definitely a slow time right now, what's gonna happen in the comic book world. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of months. But, yeah. Well, let's go back to good comic books. I mean, there's a lot of great comic books out there. I haven't read anything recently.
Mhm.
Just give people a shout out, Saga by Brian K. Bendit, not Bendis, but Brian K. Vaughan. He's really good, and he's got a thing called Saga, his independent label. That's a great comic book. You gotta check that out. And then anything by Jonathan Hickman, he's just the one who came up with the whole incursions that we saw in the latest movie. What was that one? The movie we saw with Doctor Strange, right? He came up
Okay.
with the multiverse and incursions and all that. That came from Jonathan Hickman's brain. So he's a brilliant guy. So anyway, make a long story short, man, there's some great comic books out there. So maybe people will start reading comic books again and all that foolishness. Like you remember that time we went out there, they had the taco truck out there for Machete. I'm like, what the hell is this about?
Yeah, when the whole thing becomes foolishness like that, you're out of control. And what's funny is the taco truck from Machete. It's like San Diego has some really good tacos, but you wouldn't have known that with the Machete taco truck. It's just which is a shame. So
So anyway, and then another fiasco for Comic Con, they allowed everyone pretty much to watch Scott Pilgrim versus the World for free, and I think that hindered the box office. And it's a great movie. I mean,
yeah,
but it was like one of those like, yeah, we all saw it already. We'll do it for free. Bomb at the box. And then it was so funny. Now, years later, yeah, I hear my friends every now and then say, man, that was a great movie. How come I never saw this movie?
yeah,
So, and a lot of future stars in it. Everybody's in it. So anyway, great movie.
yeah. Well, we'll see it. We'll see what happens in the upcoming years. It's like if there's going to be a vacuum with Comic Con and the whole hero thing, we're still always interested to see what comes next. And I don't know if we'll ever have a high point of in person conventions like that again. We may have just seen it and
Good point.
it's gone from this universe.
Man, you're right. E3 is dead, been dead. Comic Con. I mean, yeah. Wow. So sad. TikTok. We'll be
Yep.
watching stuff on TikTok. Influencers gonna say, buy my shit. That's it. You don't gotta go to conferences anymore. So anyway,
Hey guys, watch my TikTok and see me in the new live action adaptation of Full Metal Alchemist.
I think I know what's gonna happen, man. They're gonna have their own communities. That's the next phase of this thing. You
Yeah.
know, businesses are doing it, small business influencers, but I see like main. So first influencers, they just kind of got influenced like Mr. Beast or what's the other guy? He got Prime out now, but they did that. Now they're selling products, right? And the
Yep.
next level is like, well, why don't you part of the Mr. Beast community so you get the inside, channel of what's going on? I can absolutely see that happen. So
Mm.
so yeah, so I think, they'll just be, they're just a brand now. They're just a part of, you want to be part of Mr. Beast community, sign up.
We'll see how that works out.
All right, guys. Well, Mr. Benja is always a great one, man. So we're going to end this one quick today. But hey, everyone, if you liked it, please like, subscribe, and comment at Show versus Business on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Visit us on our website at Show versus Business. Mr. Benja, have a good one.
You too, my friend. Peace.